Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, NerdMode, and welcome to a Star Wars Battlefront video, and today we're actually going to be talking about the March 22nd, 2016 patch notes, and there's a lot we need to talk about, especially when it comes down to alterations to the gameplay. Now, of course, it is worth noting that I'm mainly going to be talking about the alterations that I find most important, especially when it comes down to changes to some of the heroes, as well as the general fixes that have been implemented by the studio. So of course, starting things off, Outer Rim, the new DLC for Season Pass owners, is now available for the Season Pass owners. So of course, if you're somebody that bought the Ultimate Edition like myself, then of course you are able to play the new DLC. Alongside that, there also has been a new feature as a due result of the Outer Rim downloadable content, which is known as the HUT contracts. Now of course, this is a really neat way, especially at trying to obtain new weapons as well as star cards. While HUT contracts is definitely a new feature, it's also on an equal playing field for newer players as well as experienced veterans of the Battlefield game. So of course, veterans of the game as well as newer players are also going to be starting at the exact same position when it comes down to unlocking these new weapons. So of course, this is definitely great for everybody when it comes down to being fair, especially when it comes down to the Battlefront. Now, of course, if you're somebody that's been sinking a lot of time into the Battlefront, there is a high chance that you've probably achieved max level as a due result of all of your dedication into the game. Now, you may or may not be excited to know that the max cap has been raised to level 60, so of course you're going to have about 10 more levels to definitely jump in there and try to achieve the new max level. So of course, if you were looking for a reason to play, this is also a great opportunity to come back if you decided to leave. Now, when it comes down to the combat of the Battlefront, there has actually been a new combat role added to non-hero characters. So of course, this should add a little bit more flair when it comes down to the non-hero characters, as well as it does allow you to dodge incoming blaster fire by navigating around the map using this specific feature. Now, of course, one specific alteration that definitely caught my eye is triggering a star card right before death will no longer result in an effect not triggering and the card going into cooldown. Now, of course, this is definitely very effective when it comes down to allowing you to get back into combat very quickly if you're using the jetpack or ultimately just using your star cards in general. Personal shields, squad shields, and blaster cannons will now deflect and absorb most forms of projectiles except for the cycler rifle, scattergun, and the proximity bomb. As well as, when personal shields are activated, the player is unable to fire his or her weapon and also throw grenades. However, the individual is still able to deploy turrets, droids, and also call in heroes and vehicles. Now, transferring right along to some general improvements, they've made some alterations to the miscellaneous spawning system. This should overall just be a lot better when it comes down to various maps and mode combinations, so of course ultimately you should have a little bit better of a spawn and also be able to get into the action fairly quickly. As well as Princess Leia's Honor Guard and Emperor Palpatine's Shock Troopers are limited to only 2 spawns during Heroes vs. Villains and Extraction game modes. This should ultimately focus players on trying to stay alive while using these characters due to the limited spawns in these particular game modes, as well as directing teams to try to primarily focus on keeping their primary character alive as well as their specialty units that are on the battlefront. They've also fixed an inconsistency with blocking blaster fire between active and passive blocking with Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and Emperor Palpatine, as well as when blocking blaster fire modified with explosive shot or ion shot, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader now deflect and reflect explosive shot and ion shock back at the original target. As well as quickly taking a look at Hero Hunt, redesign the way in which new heroes is selected. Now the top 3 damage dealers now have a chance to be the next hero. Ultimately, this is spin the wheel when it comes down to it, so of course it's in your best interest to just try to put as much damage humanly possible into the heroes. Now, of course, talking a little bit about Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, considering that they've seen some micro and major alterations to their overall health pool, as well as some of their benefits that they brought previously to the Battlefront. Quickly starting with Darth Vader, increased health from 1500 to 1650, as well as increased his block ability timer from 4 seconds to 8 seconds, so ultimately he's a lot better at deflecting blaster fire. Decreased cooldown of lightsaber throw from 7 seconds to 6 seconds. And last but not least, increased distance of lightsaber throw by 3 meters. Now, of course, transferring over to Luke Skywalker, decreased health from 1000 to 925. And last but not least, slightly decreased running speed. So when it really comes down to it, I've only quickly talked about some of the highlighted information when it comes down to Battlefront. Of course, there's definitely a lot more alterations to game modes and a lot of other things that I didn't really talk about. As a due result, I will be leaving the entire article in the description of the video, so I do highly recommend checking that out, especially if you're somebody that's going to be re-entering the Battlefront or if you're somebody that continues to play it on a daily basis. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, this has been NMO, and I'm going to be signing out, guys. Peace.